Here we are, Season 2 of Role Models. Hello, Jared Walsh here. This is Episode 2 as well. I would love for you to go back and listen to Episode 1. I had a chat with Port Adelaide Football Club star Carl Amon. He actually spent a whole year of his life in a wheelchair, and now he's playing AFL, living his dream. In Season 2, I'm still going to chat to really positive people doing really powerful things in the community, but I'm going to broaden my horizons a little bit too and chat to some more everyday people. Like the man I'm going to introduce you to right now. His name is Luke Hibberd. Now, not only is he a studio manager at Orangetheory Fitness. Now, full disclosure, I am an ambassador for Orangetheory Fitness. This isn't an ad. We get to the reasons why Luke is the studio manager there. But most importantly, he has lost so much weight. He's actually lost more than my whole body weight put together, which is unbelievable when you think about it. And if you are sitting at home at the moment, you're sitting at work, you're commuting on public transport or whatever, thinking, I need that push to change my lifestyle, to change my mentality when it comes to being healthy, being fit, being active, and also making a positive change in your life, this is the guy you need to listen to. So let's get into it. Season 2, Episode 2 of Role Models, Luke Hibberd. This is actually my first off-site Role Models podcast. So, Luke Hibberd, thank you very much for having a chat with me. Orangetheory Fitness Studio Manager. We'll get to that very soon, but you have a very inspirational story that I'm looking forward to hearing more about. How's your morning going so far, mate?
Pretty good, mate. Just enjoyed a little workout at Orangetheory Fitness with obviously yourself and Andy. Typical Friday morning for me these days, so yeah, good start to the day. It
didn't used to be though, did it? Because I've only met you through being involved with this studio here at Orangetheory, and I wasn't aware of your story until I saw a little bit on social media over the past few years, and then I was talking to Andy actually, who's a colleague and a friend of mine, and he said that you were on Today Tonight about an incredible transformation of not just your body but your lifestyle, and I think it's really inspirational for you to tell your story because I don't know too much about it. So I want you to take me back to where you were to where you are right now, and you're a really fit human being who's involved in a fitness centre essentially. So can you take me back all this way about how you grew up and how you got to where you were?
Yeah, I definitely can. It's not a story that I guess I'm afraid of telling. It is something that I've had struggles with the past in sharing it because it is pretty, way back in that days it got pretty emotional, I guess. So I guess it started, I'm not sure when it started, probably from a super young age, just growing up and, just didn't really know much about food and things like that. So it wasn't until my teens where I really sort of peaked into the food eating and that sort of stuff, and then started introducing alcohol into my life. And it was a pretty downward effect. I was a pretty talented sportsman, even though I was overweight most of my junior life.
You played footy, didn't you?
Played footy, played cricket at a pretty high level. Played district cricket all throughout being, a very overweight kid. But I guess I never really fulfilled any sort of potential due to the size I was. And it wasn't until sort of later in my teens when I really got stuck into alcohol and food. And I was just sort of living week to week. It was you work Monday to Friday, just earn enough so you could be able to go out on the weekend and have a good weekend. And the diet back then would literally consist of, service station food in the morning, stopping off, grabbing whatever you could to eat, pies, pasties, cokes, things like that. I'd probably drink upwards of 4+ litres of soft drink a day.
A day?
A day, literally. I would take a 2-litre soft drink to bed with me at night, and throughout the night I'd wake up and drink it. It would be, pizza 99% of the time, literally takeaway food non-stop.
So how big did you get?
Peaked at, I probably peaked at more, but I did hit the scales at 175 kilos. I don't remember ever getting on the scales much until I decided to make a change. So what I was before that, I could never really tell you. I just know that when I finally stepped on the scales, it was 175. And I've been talking to a lot more people about the story recently, and I just didn't even think of my weight as an issue. That's the problem. I didn't even recognise it. I was just a happy-go-lucky guy who thought I was having a fun time, and I really wasn't. I was probably the opposite.
Was it a transition of you being younger and your metabolism being faster, and you kind of thought, I can kind of live this way for a little while, and it kind of got out of control?
Yeah, potentially. I did always I used to remember Mum always saying, "Oh, it's just puppy fat; it'll go." But it turned out to be a pretty big puppy in the end. So,
were you seen as like with all your mates and your footy teammates as the big, fun, happy guy, and you kind of thought that's the role I needed to play?
Yeah, that was definitely it was my role. I was the fun guy, the go-to guy when we go out. What are we doing Saturday night? Let's ask Hibbo. He'll be on board without a doubt. So, and that's where it would start. It would go up. You'd get to the weekend and it'd be peaking, and I'd be having a good time and wouldn't really think about food. But then after a massive, couple of days or a couple of nights out, it would just drop, and it goes into that cycle of depression, which I'd massively suffered. And then it would, food would be my outlet. It would just turn to what makes me feel better: pizza, ice cream, soft drink.
So did you get depressed because you were overweight?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely.
So I'm surrounded, like, within work and also coming to Orangetheory and seeing so many fit people, and it motivates me to get fitter. So have you thought about why that didn't happen for you? You were playing sport, and as you said, at a pretty high level, so you'd think the motivation would be there, because if you wanted to go to the next level, to go almost elite standards, you wouldn't be accepted because of your weight.
Yeah. I don't know if I really thought into it too much, more than, like you said, that was my life. Like, I was that go-to guy. I was my goal back then was to make people happy. It was never about me. It was I was being the fun guy. So yeah, I don't really looked into it as much as that. But I am starting to do a bit more of that sort of self-discovery as we speak. So
going to the stage where you've decided to make a change, what led to that? Did you have any somewhat interventions by family and friends who said, "We're concerned"? Did you struggle with women growing up?
Definitely struggled with women. It was, there wasn't really any. So, but then, I did meet someone who was one of them persons that comes into your life and they make a massive notable difference. I guess they were just there for that point in my life because they're not really there anymore. But I did meet someone that it was the catalyst to make me realise there was more to life, and there was more to me than what I was showing. And the best thing that ever happened to me was literally moving away. I left Adelaide, so I was literally stuck in this cycle of Monday to Friday work out, and then Monday to Friday would literally be just to start really depressed and get better until the weekend come again and you just go super hard. And that whole week was just filled with bad food and eating to make myself feel better. The absolute best thing I did was break that cycle and get away from Adelaide, get away from friends, and sort of start out fresh, I guess. And
do you remember the day where you said, "This is the day where I'm going to make a change"? Because I look back at when, I'm reasonably fit, but I have moments, and even last year I decided to make a change in my life, and it's not as dramatic as what you've done, but you go, all right, you'd see so many people on a Monday go, "I've eaten shit this weekend, I'm going to make a change in my life and I'm going to have a Subway salad," and that's fantastic. But when it gets to dinner time and they have 3 beers and a block of chocolate afterwards, but they go, no, it's fine, I instead of a Coke with my Big Mac meal, I had a water, I'm super fit. That cold turkey is so difficult in any frame of life.
Yeah, mate, there's one thing I didn't do ever, it was cold turkey. I still refuse. It's not something that I think is a manageable lifestyle. It was such a long period of time, and to be completely honest, I'm still going through it. It's still something, now health and fitness is pretty much my life. I'm surrounded by it, I work in it, I train in it. I focus on what I eat probably 70-80% of the time. But back then, it was literally just really small changes. It was getting up in the morning and not having much to do, so I was like, well, I'm just going to go for a walk. And that's where it literally started for me. I never had a time where I turned and went, all right, this is where it's happening. It was just little changes, and as I saw results happen, and when you're the size I was, the results were pretty drastic and they were pretty fast. So I got a little bit addicted to it. I tend to have a little bit of an addictive personality. So it really did start to become an addiction, and that shows in the complete transformation, and it did go elite to one point as well. So it's baby steps. You cannot do it cold turkey, and if you do, you will not be able to maintain it.
Before I ask about the transition and the little milestones you had, did you ever see a doctor that said you need to start looking at yourself? Because what age were you, when you were at your heaviest?
I was about 21, 22.
So that then, as a 21, 22-year-old, you were 175?
Yeah.
That, without trying to sound too dramatic, that is death not too far away.
Yeah, it was. I was pretty selfish, arrogant about the whole thing. I I could still look in the mirror and I didn't see that big fat guy looking back at me sometimes. I did have high blood pressure and I was taking medication, but even things like that weren't a turning point for me. I didn't need someone to tell me to do it. I needed to want to do it myself. That was the biggest thing for me.
So you start walking, you start noticing a difference, you start being addicted to it. Do you remember any little milestones? I know I have people that go, all right, today I'm going to run 1 kilometre without stopping, and you start building up and you see. My sister, last weekend, she ran a half marathon, and you just go, these personal goals are so important no matter what they are for people. Do you remember some of the goals that you had?
Yeah, there was lots of goals along the way. I had, in the start, it was 5 kilo goals is what I was focusing on, and the tiniest goals as in, I was obviously had a massive addiction to soft drink. So it was taking out, I would buy, instead of buying 2 litres bottles of soft drink, I'd just buy cans and I'd have a can with each meal. Then I'd take it away and have a can with lunch and dinner, then a can with dinner, and then change it to 0. And I'm not saying that's a greater benefit. We all know that's not the secret to weight loss now, but it was a change back then and something for me. And then it was just taking it away and replacing it with water. So then I was watching 5 kilos drop off the scales and then going from walking to jogging. So then it was 400 metres. Then it was 800 metres. And then I can't believe I ran a kilometre today. Then can I do it faster? Then I couldn't do it any faster. So let's go 1.5. Let's go 2. Like it was that sort of progression. I guess I started to learn that I was probably pretty ashamed of who I was. So I was doing everything privately. I bought a treadmill. I'd invested pretty heavily because of the size I was. It cost me a lot of money to buy a treadmill that suited my weight. I had a personal trainer at home, and I was doing all this in the privacy of my own home, I guess. So, the goals just progressed and they continued. Once I was a weight where I was comfortable and felt good again, it was maybe I should play football. Maybe I've missed out on 5-10 years of possibly good football. So went back and played some A-grade footy, which is something I've never done before. So that was a pretty proud moment to play football with my brother, and then to eventually win a flag, which was pretty good as well.
When you have a look back and you go, all right, I've made all these physical changes, and we spoke about you being the fun, larger guy, the larger-than-life guy who's the go-to guy when it's fun. Did you see that you're also making mental changes where you needed to transition inside your mind going, I can still be the fun guy, I just look different and I probably think different?
Yeah, absolutely. It was just a different sort of fun, It wasn't always about going out and being that party guy. It was doing different things and getting more out of life, I guess. Getting outdoors, doing things like that. Getting back into sport and enjoying that side of it was actually enjoying your sport instead of being embarrassed about putting on a football Guernsey. That was fun, So.
And you've got 2 kids?
I've got 3.
3 kids?
Yeah.
Now, more than ever, I guess it's important for you to instill values in them because I see how much you love your kids.
Yep.
So I guess for you, the challenge as a father now is to help guide your children into making the right decisions. And have you spoken to them about your story?
It's pretty funny, actually. We show them some photos from time to time and they don't recognise the big guy. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Especially the oldest one does recognise, but my younger 2 twins sometimes point to the big guy and they're not sure who that is. They're still pretty young, so for us, it's not about... I'm very conscious of them not to be image focused, not to ever worry about what they look like or what they wear or what people think of them. So they're lessons that will come further in life for me as we get a little bit older and they start to ask them sort of questions, because they're still probably too young to really worry about that sort of image side of things yet. So it's just about instilling good values when it comes to food. If they get soft drink, they jump out of their skin. They don't know what's going on. So they're not really into sugary treats and things like that because we just don't give them a lot of it. But they still have plenty of good food and they love it. So you were at 21, 22 years of age, Hibbo, 175 kilos. What do you fluctuate around being your best weight? Now?
Yep.
Oh, I'm pretty happy to sit somewhere between 98 to 105 for me.
So that's an over 80 kilo loss.
Yeah, I got to 92 at one point when I was...
That's more than me. Like, I weigh 87 kilos and I'm 6'3", so you have essentially lost more than my whole body.
Yeah, I lost some pretty... Yeah, it's a pretty... People don't recognise when I show me the photos and they're just blown away. If people don't know the story, they just don't get it. They can't see it. So.
Where did it all go? Do you have to have surgery or anything to get rid of excess skin? Because I know a few people who have had that option.
No, I do have some excess skin. It's not terribly bad. I have thought about it and it is something I will consider, but I don't know whether that's something I'm I don't know, willing to put myself under or not. At the time when I was very close to getting it done, I was training for something, and it would have completely altered my training plan and thrown it all out, and I probably wouldn't have got to where I wanted to get to. So I just had to put it on hold, and it's still on hold for now. So
this is a pretty strange way of comparing my situation to yours, but I'm bald for people who haven't seen photos of me. I've got no hair. And I was going through a phase when I was probably in my early 20s where you try and hold on to it. Like you just go, no. First of all, you go through a bit of denial. Like, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And you eventually get to a point, and I was 24, I think, and I remember exactly where I was. I was watching my missus play women's soccer, and she was playing the most boring game I've ever seen in my life. And I think that was the point which drove me to going, I'm going to make a change in my life. So I decided to shave my head. So because of her game, which is horrific. So anyway, we were living in Melbourne at the time, went back and shaved my head. It's the best thing I ever did. Like, it's quite liberating. And now, when I see people who are younger than I am that are holding on to their hair, I just want to go up to them and go, mate, shave your head. It'll be the best thing you've ever done. Now, the connection I'm trying to make with you is going, when you see overweight people who, they're everywhere, mate. We live in such a fat, overweight culture, which I think a lot of it is related to a lot of things going mentally inside people's brains. It's not just you're lazy, stop eating shit food. I think a lot of it's got to do with bullying in primary school, in high school. A lot of it has to do with people not being motivated because of work and everything else.
Education too.
That's exactly right. Do you see people and you almost feel the need to go up and go, mate, you don't know me, I don't know you. I just want to let you know this is where I was. This is where you can be. Tell me to piss off, but I feel like I have to.
Yeah, I do, and that's why I guess I do what I do. That's why I'm involved in the fitness industry, because I can get to as many people as I can and share that story. But like for me, it is important that they are the ones that make that change in their mind. You know what I mean? You can't have someone tell you, you look bad, you need to lose weight, because they'll just probably push back and it'll make them feel bad, and they'll probably just go further under. Something needs to happen. There needs to be a catalyst for them to make that turning point in their head, and say, right, I'm going to make a change.
Last question on this. Have you been scared at all since you made that decision? What age were you, when you got to your prime weight of losing about 92 kilos?
Maybe 25.
And how
26.
old are you now?
33.
Between 26 and 33, has there been a fear of, I'm going back to where I was, I need to switch on?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, mate, lots and lots and lots. Yep.
So it's not something where you go, I'm done,
No.
I'm fixed. It's a constant battle.
It's lifestyle. It is maintaining this for the rest of my life. I'm not someone that can literally enjoy food as much as I want. I need to have a balanced diet. I still do, but it's moderation. I basically try to sit around 80-20, with 80 being really good, healthy, nutritious whole foods, and 20% of being able to enjoy myself. And you factor that in, I guess, Monday to Friday versus a weekend most of the time. So
I said this at the start of the podcast. I'm an ambassador for Orangetheory Fitness, so full disclosure. But the thing about me is I'm not an ambassador for things I'm not passionate about, and I am being constantly educated about this whole training. And you know what? There are so many different options for training, whether it's personal training, whether it's fitness centres, everywhere, which I think is fantastic. They're opening up because they're motivating healthy lifestyle. But can you, for the listeners who don't know anything about it, give them a little bit of information about Orangetheory Fitness? Because there's one in South Australia, I know there's one in Sydney, and they're opening up everywhere, which is fantastic. Because for me, it's it teaches you physical and, most importantly, mental toughness to actually push yourself. And part of your journey is you trained yourself inside your mind. And the great thing for me about Orangetheory is you are motivated to train yourself. If you come and want to do a horrific workout, you can, but you walk away feeling disappointed. If you want to do an amazing workout, which you guys motivate us to do with the different trainers and stuff, you do. So can you, I've basically just said it, but as you can see, I'm very passionate. Can you give us a little bit of backstory and insight?
So the reason I fell in love with Orangetheory Fitness is the concept is second to none. There's nothing like it. It's 1 hour, it's a full body workout, and it is over before you know it. You know, most of the time you go into that room, and I'm pretty sure you guys can agree that you go in there thinking, oh, it's just an hour, it's just going to be hard work, and then before you know it, bang, you're done. You've got your splat points, you've got your time in the orange zone, and you walk out of there feeling better than you walked in the room. The best thing about what we do and what we've tried to create here is the culture and the supportive nature. You need that around you. You need constant support around you to be able to make real changes in your life. That's something I definitely learned along the way. Lost a lot of friends along the way, but gained a lot more valuable life friends and things like that. So Orangetheory Fitness, it is, what people don't know about it is it's probably the biggest fitness franchise in the world. If you go to America, it's absolutely everywhere. You know, we've got members there now in New York City at Yankees games, and it's flashing up all over the screens. And we're just this little pod in Adelaide that people just still don't know much about. The science behind the workout is it's amazing. It works, and we've got members that come here and they do 3 to 4 sessions a week, and that's all we ask, and that's all you should be doing with proper HIIT training, and they get amazing fitness and weight loss results. Burning through that, that epoch of burning through 12 plus minutes in the orange zone and red zones combined, which I guess 84% of heart rate for people that don't understand the colour side of it right now. 84% plus for 12 minutes in that orange and red zones elicits that epoch, which means you leave here burning calories for up to 36 hours, which that's the science behind it, and that's why it works. It's an amazing workout. I don't know much more to say about that. No,
it makes a lot of sense. The other thing I love, and you probably would as well, is you see people coming in consistently and they're actually making changes to their lives and their body. And there's a Facebook group which is for members where people are, they're actually proud of what they're doing. And it's we live in such an environment now with social media, trolling, bullying, where people are almost afraid to be proud of what they do because of the backlash that they'll get. But the positive environment, and we've seen, there's a guy, Mark, who's come in every day pretty much, and he's made so many transformations. There's Ben, who works at a cafe that I remember on the opening night, he was extremely overweight. And I think we put him on a treadmill to go against a couple of athletes, and he struggled. But now you see him and you go, you're a different person. So you're basically watching your life flash before your eyes, Hibberd, because of these people.
Yeah, we do. We change lives, and that's why, I was sitting in an office thinking, how can I help people more, and getting my story out there. And that's why I started to become a personal trainer, and it led me to Orangetheory, and the ability to have that chance to change someone's life is pretty amazing. And health and fitness does it, and it's not all weight loss. It's, like you said, it's a mental challenge as well. I have a better day if I do a workout every single time. It releases endorphins. There's no secret behind what it does. It makes you feel better. And the supportive nature, the trainers and the experience. Now, they've all got a story as well, and we haven't shared that enough, I don't think. These guys have been in the industry for a long period of time, and there's a reason why we have them as particular coaches, and we're very selective on who we have. It's very important because they can relate to our members, which is, again, that's a big thing.
This is the Role Models podcast. The question I want to finish this podcast with is asking you, if people are listening right now, and I have listeners in Australia, I think I've got some in Guatemala, there may be some in Phuket, I'm not sure how, but these are the figures that come through. They want to make that change in their lives, but they don't know how to take that first step. And I know it's all individual, and I know that, as you said, you train yourself. What would one thing that you would say to someone listening going, I've actually listened to this story, I'm inspired, how do I stand up and get my foot out that door?
You need to have a look at yourself, and you just need to ask yourself, what am I doing? Like, what can you do differently? What's one thing? It's just one small thing you can change to do differently. If you're not moving, move. That's the biggest thing. Like, one of the things I started doing was to never, if I could avoid it, if it was stairs, I would avoid them. Things like that. If there was a hill, I'd go the other way. Whereas now, and even then, when I was starting that change and that lifestyle change, it was right. Every time I see a staircase, I'm using it. Every time I park my car in a car park, I'm walking up the stairs, I'm walking down and to get back. It's the little things. It's not a big step. You don't need to go and get a massive, change of lifestyle by getting on a shake thing that's going to drop your 10 kilos and then put 20 back on straight away. It's just a baby step. Get moving, cut something out, something small to start it. When you see results, track it, it becomes addictive, and that's what you need to do.
Luke Hibberd, you are an inspiration. Thank you very much for chatting on the Role Models podcast.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Thanks for having me here.
This podcast is part of the Ozcast Network.